These messages will be indicative of the regime supporters' mood in Iran today. First one is by this guy. Translate this for you guys. So, this is a regime supporter who's wondering why other regime supporters are still defending the government, saying, oh my God, what are you guys defending this government for? You don't even have the money to buy a kilogram of fruit. Inflation is 300%. Water, electricity, and gas bills are millions of toman. They're 5 times more expensive now. Rice is worth 10 toman. So again, 300% inflation on food. It's not a good time. It's not a good time at all. And that, as we told you guys earlier, is the main topic of the regime today. What the hell are we going to do? Yeah.
Can I mention to people why this is so important, what Ali is showing us? Because what they were trying to sell us is that economic hardship would only bother the anti-regime people. These jihadi people, they don't care. They can tolerate being poor. They could tolerate economic hardship. They're resilient, okay? And, they're not going to get bothered. So them crying about economic hardship is rich coming from them, because they said, like, hey, they were ready to give blood for the Mahdi and for fighting against Americans and Israelis. So why are you complaining about not being able to, I don't know, buy bread or eggs? You were supposed to be able to give blood for your Islam. So why are you guys complaining?
Yeah. And then Armin, can you read it from here on?
Okay. From there?
Yeah, you don't need to read the things before it.
Okay, برنج شده خدا تومن. Okay. So the price of rice is how many 2 months? God amount of 2 months. so what is the price of rice? God level, God prices.
And then, can you summarize this real quick? Just what they're saying in this line.
برنج شده خدا تومن، برنج شده خدا تومن، بنزین 87,000 تومن، 400 بیبرقی 200 بیابی. Okay, so rice is expensive. Fuel prices are so high. We have 4 hours of electricity outages, 2 hours of water outages.
And then look at what they say next. This guy goes in on them.
دادن خزر به روسیه نبود. They gave the Caspian Sea to the Russians. There is no jobs for the young people anymore. There's corruption all over the country. All of our investments, all of our resources has been spent on missiles and drones, or on Iraq, Lebanon, Palestine, Syria, or in Venezuela. And then the rest is going to be in the next message.
Yeah, and then he says, yeah, okay. So this guy's not happy. Basically, what he's saying is, why are we still trying to wage a war? The price of basic food is sky high. Electricity, water. We can't keep going like this. That is the main point. And Armin said, these regime supporters who had it good for so long, they're starting to complain. That never happened before. Let me refresh this so the translator can keep up. Okay, here we go. All right. We got some fake news. We told you earlier that when Brad Cooper met with al-Zaidi, they met to disarm the militias. But then the Islamic Republic state media said, oh yeah, it was actually al-Zaidi telling Brad Cooper, you got to get out of Iraq completely by September 30. So they're spinning it, fake news. Here it is again. I don't know where this guy got this statistic, but he's like, CNN's controversial confession is that 88% of Americans say the war with Iran has been a failure and that the United States has not achieved its goals. They also said that the US president's popularity has fallen below 36%, which is unprecedented. The Epstein affair has not left Trump's lap and is gaining wider dimensions, getting momentum every day. So 88% of Americans, damn, that's pretty high. 36% approval rating for cool. So this is what they're operating under, as if they, did. This is their own numbers. 88% of this approval is for the IRGC. Yeah, go on.
I mean, those numbers might be true, but here's a question. What is your approval rating in Iran? What is your approval rating? And what is the support for your war against the United States and Israel in Iran? Huh? What if we check? Can we have a poll on that? Do you want to run a poll on that?
Yes. This is what they're operating under, by the way, just so you guys know. These aren't like normal, rational people. And if they are, they're being fed information that's completely bogus. Misinformation is running rampant, and censorship. They're not getting the correct info. We've showed you messages before. They say, oh my God, I got to go grab foreign media and read that to get the correct news because our own media doesn't tell us the truth. Okay. We have someone here talking about the Mecca alliance between Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey. He says, oh, so Erdogan and Pakistan also turned against us, the Islamic Republic, with this Mecca pact. This is the result of warmongering and hostility towards the whole world. And that's why the whole world will turn against the Islamic Republic. For example, if I were to fight and beat up all the neighbors in a 30-unit building, it would be obvious that the neighbors would unite with each other and make me miserable. A little bit of common sense there. Refreshing common sense. Who knows? If you beat up everyone or try to bully everyone, they will also get back at you. And let's see what the response is from another person to this message. Here we go. So the other person was like, it's our own fault. This person is like, what do you mean by warmongering? Iran wasn't the one who started it. Wouldn't it be better to condemn the enemy instead of condemning Iran and siding with the enemy instead? They announced the Mecca agreement, and they said it had nothing to do with Iran. Even our own news agencies reported that. Please keep believing that. Oh my God. That the Mecca agreement has nothing to do with the Islamic Republic. That's, you don't even have to use your brain to realize that one. Our own news agencies reported it. Telling you guys, these guys are getting completely bogus info. And that's going to bite them in the butt. Pretty severely. Here is our next one. Let's see what this person's saying. About warmongering, huh? All right, let's play the blame game. So this person says, we, the Islamic Republic, are not warmongers, but we are determined to defend our country. That's the narrative, by the way. We're not warmongering. We're not causing anything. We're just defending Iran. That's what the regime supporters think. The economic situation is not because of the war. It is because of the lack of supply, suggesting that the United States blockade. And it's also the fault of the government that had no plan, but the people voted for it. I mean, this is a very classic take, is it not? We are not warmongers. We're just defending Iran. The economic situation is also not because of the war. It's because the government, the people voted for this government.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, you declared war against the United States before the United States did anything, right? The United States, under the Carter administration, was helping the mullahs against the Pahlavi. And when the Pahlavi fell, they tried to cooperate with the mullahs. The mullahs, they took over the embassy in Tehran, took the American staff there hostage, declared war against the United States, promised to destroy the United States one day, chanted death to America ever since, and have been working on building a nuclear weapon and other weapons to try to one day destroy the United States, and they haven't been hiding that information. In fact, I have a video, if you're interested, I could show you just yesterday from Ghani confirming that. Something that we have been saying. So just yesterday, we got another confirmation of that being the goal. right? So yeah, I think like world domination, trying to war, having jang ter ruza qiyamat. That's what they say, like war until the end of times. So yeah, that's warmongering in my opinion, right? Also, the economic situation is not because of the war. Do I even need to respond to that? War. That's what war does. War, like, yes, if we could, like, if we had, like, we could have war and the economy would not be affected. Sure, war brings ruins. Obviously, war ruins an economy, especially if you're, losing it, right?
Yeah.
So that's a nonsense. This is just a way. This is them just trying to use the government as a scapegoat, and it's also a hypocritical, because these are the same people who said, like, yeah, we could take it. We know wars brings economic hardship, but we could take it. Now that they can see that they can't take it, now they're changing the narrative and said they're blaming the government instead of the war.
Donald Trump did say they're taking a pounding like few other can, and I think they're finally, giving way to this. Yeah. Anyway, our next one is going to be this. This is a good point. This is also something that we want to have you guys realize what the Islamic Republic does. This guy's saying, aren't you, the government, trying to scare people with 80 toman gasoline so that they get used to 20 toman gasoline? That's pretty significant. That's saying you guys are threatening the people with extremely high prices so that right now, even with the already high prices, they get scared of even worse things and they accept the status quo at the moment, even though it's terrible. Do you even realize what the consequences of high gasoline prices are? Why don't you understand that we have been crushed and crushed under the burden of high prices? Why don't you understand? Why don't you understand?
You know what why this person is so stupid, Ali? These people think that Pezeshkian is just sitting there, and then he says, like, hey, I could as easily have cheap gasoline prices, and I have two options, and I could just easily choose between low gasoline prices and high gasoline prices. And I'm just sitting there and let's go with high gasoline prices. As if it's up to him. The reason these people are like, oh, why are you doing this? Are you stupid? No, you idiot. You're the dumb idiot. You're the stupid one. Okay. The reason why gasoline prices in Iran are so low is because they're subsidized. They're subsidized with oil revenue. When there is not oil revenue, they can't get subsidized. What is he going to subsidize those prices with? They're making it seem like they don't understand. This is because of the entire regime. This is because of the Death to America chant that you were chanting for the past 47 years. This is you. You did this. You waging war against America, and now this economic blockade around you. It's not Pezeshkian, it's you. They're all trying to blame Pezeshkian as if he's just making this a decision because he hates them. Because Pezeshkian, like, why are you increasing prices? You shouldn't do that. As if he has any choice. There's not enough revenue to subsidize your fuel prices, you goddamn idiots.
Yep. He's smart enough to realize that he's getting the wool pulled over his eyes, but he's not smart enough to know why. He's like, I'm getting screwed over, but I don't know why.
This is everybody just throwing Pezeshkian under the bus to save the rest of the regime. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
It has
That's by
nothing
design.
to do with him. Yes.
Yeah, that's by design. Yeah. So, oh, by the way, so when we say that's by design, the snake, that is the Islamic Republic, will molt and shed its skin. It'll lose a part of itself on purpose to stay alive. Even if the tail's cut off, as long as the head is there and the body's still there, it's fine. We have our next one. This person is saying, when you go on Instagram and Telegram, they use Telegram in Iran the most. When you go on Instagram and Telegram and become familiar with the culture and mindset of most Iranians, you will see that this government and its policies still have many fans among many Iranians. This is because of the low IQ and intelligence quotient of most Iranians, which is why they cannot analyze issues properly, and that is why they support this government and its policies. So this person is alluding to the fact that perhaps the regime supporters are low IQ.
I think this guy is a regime supporter. Okay, so when
Yes.
they say the government, they're not
Yep,
talking about
exactly.
the regime. So they're talking about Pezeshkian. Okay, so guys, in Iran, the government doesn't actually mean the government. In Iran, the government means the executive branch. Okay, so when you see some people saying like, "Oh, low IQ people are supporting the government," it's sometimes the hardliners attacking the reformers, because the reformers are supporting the government, which means the executive branch, and the hardliners hate the current people in power in the executive branch. So attacking the government doesn't really mean attacking the entirety of the Islamic Republic. It means right now it just means attacking the reformers. So this is just a hardliner versus reformer attack, rather than like an anti-regime attack on the regime. Does that make sense? Let me know in the chat.
This is a regime supporter attacking other regime supporters, calling them stupid.